Emily's secrets that reveal her destiny.
Why are dark fantasy worlds so irresistible? Maybe it's the mix of danger and beauty, or the way they push fairy tales into something more twisted and real. Whatever it is, these are the kinds of shows and movies that stick with you.
Present a number of families who have lost children. This is war.
We skipped over the obvious giants like Supernatural and Grimm to make room for some incredible, and often overlooked, picks. Let's dive into 10 dark fantasy worlds you'll be obsessed with. Number 10. Solomon Kane, Tubi.
There is evil walking this earth, and I will hunt it down.
Kicking off our list is Solomon Kane, a dark fantasy movie that dropped in 2009 and has since become a bit of a cult favorite. Based on Robert E. Howard's pulp character, the story follows Kane, a ruthless mercenary whose soul is claimed by the devil, unless he can find redemption. James Purefoy brings brooding intensity to the role, with support from screen legends like Max von Sydow and Pete Postlethwaite. What starts as a grim redemption tale quickly escalates into a bloody sword and sorcery adventure full of demons, witches, and cursed warriors. Despite being planned as the first in a trilogy, this standalone film remains Kane's only outing. With atmospheric settings, gritty battles, and a bleak tone, Solomon Kane is worth a watch for fans of moody, violent fantasy worlds often overlooked today. Number 9. Beowulf, Tubi. Next up is Beowulf, released in 2007, Robert Zemeckis' motion capture dark fantasy film that reimagines the Old English epic poem with a modern, twisted edge. Written by Neil Gaiman and Roger Avery, this adaptation leans heavily into mythic spectacle and moral corruption, where monsters aren't always the true villains. Ray Winstone stars as the legendary warrior Beowulf, supported by an all-star cast including Anthony Hopkins, John Malkovich, and Angelina Jolie as a dangerously seductive Grendel's mother. The film is drenched in surreal, stylized visuals, pushing early CGI to its limits, and it delivers a darker, more psychological take on the classic tale. While divisive for its uncanny animation, Beowulf deserves credit for blending myth, horror, and fantasy in a way that feels both grand and unsettling, a haunting reimagining of one of literature's oldest dark legends. Number 8. Black Death, Maximum. Released in 2010, Black Death is a bleak and atmospheric dark fantasy film set in plague-ravaged medieval England. Starring Sean Bean, Eddie Redmayne, and Carice Van Houten, the story follows a novice monk who joins a band of knights on a grim mission to track down a village rumored to be untouched by the Black Death, possibly through necromancy. What begins as a journey of faith and duty spirals into torture, betrayal, and a brutal test of belief. Director Christopher Smith shot the film in chronological order, giving it a raw, unpolished authenticity. With themes of fanaticism, corruption, and despair, Black Death blends horror with historical drama, exploring whether true evil lies in the plague or in humanity itself. It's a chilling ride for fans of gritty medieval fantasy. Number 7. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Netflix. Forget the bubbly sitcom Sabrina you might remember from the 90s. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina takes that world and plunges it into true dark fantasy horror. Starring Kiernan Shipka as Sabrina Spellman, the series ran from 2018 to 2020 across 4 chilling parts. The story follows a half-witch, half-mortal teenager trying to balance a normal high school life with her destiny in the Church of Night. With demonic rituals, twisted versions of familiar characters, and a heavy dose of satanic horror, the show embraces an aesthetic inspired by classics like Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist. Critics praise Shipka's performance and the show's gothic visuals, even if the final season divided fans. If you want witches, demons, and teenage rebellion with a sinister edge, this is the version of Sabrina worth binging. Number 6. Carnival Row, Prime Video.
What he loves and what he's willing to do to set it right.
This is where we come.
Carnival Row is a dark fantasy series blending steampunk, neo-noir, and political allegory. Starring Orlando Bloom as Inspector Philo and Cara Delevingne as the fairy Vignette, the story unfolds in the Burg, a city where mythical creatures live as refugees after fleeing war. Amid rising xenophobia and social unrest, Philo investigates brutal murders tied to dark magic while struggling with his hidden half-fae heritage. The series explores themes of immigration, class struggle, prejudice, and forbidden love, all within a richly designed Victorian-inspired world. Though praised for its stunning production design and ambitious mythology, critics felt its storytelling was uneven. Running for 2 seasons, 2019 to 2023, Carnival Row built a cult following among fantasy fans craving something moody and politically charged, with echoes of Penny Dreadful and Game of Thrones. Number 5. His Dark Materials, Maximum.
More abuse. And more darkness.
His Dark Materials is a fantasy drama based on Philip Pullman's acclaimed trilogy. The series follows Lyra Belacqua, a courageous orphan who discovers dark secrets about her world, where human souls exist outside the body as animal companions called daemons. Traveling from Oxford to the frozen north and beyond, Lyra encounters witches, armored polar bears, and sinister forces tied to a mysterious substance called dust. Starring Daphne Keane, Ruth Wilson, James McAvoy, and Lin-Manuel Miranda, the show blends epic adventure with philosophical questions about faith, freedom, and destiny. Produced by HBO and BBC One, it ran for 3 seasons, 2019 to 2022, covering the complete trilogy. Richly atmospheric, the adaptation brought Pullman's multiverse to life with visual spectacle and heartfelt performances. Number 4. Penny Dreadful, Prime Video. Penny Dreadful is a gothic horror series that reimagines classic Victorian-era monsters and myths with a chilling twist. Created by John Logan, the show intertwines the worlds of Dr. Frankenstein, Dorian Gray, Dracula, and more into one sinister tapestry set in 1890s London. At its core is Vanessa Ives, played brilliantly by Eva Green, a woman plagued by dark forces who becomes entangled in battles between good, evil, and everything in between. With Timothy Dalton, Josh Hartnett, and Rory Kinnear rounding out the cast, the series combines literary horror with psychological drama. Running for 3 seasons on Showtime, it became a cult favorite thanks to its lavish production design, eerie atmosphere, and unflinching exploration of madness, desire, and the supernatural. Number 3. Pan's Labyrinth. Directed by Guillermo del Toro, Pan's Labyrinth is one of the darkest and most haunting fantasy films ever made. Set in 1944, Spain under Franco's rule, the story follows a young girl named Ophelia, who discovers a mysterious labyrinth guarded by a faun. Caught between the brutality of her sadistic stepfather and the trials of a magical underworld, Ophelia faces choices that blur the line between fairy tale and nightmare. The film is known for its unforgettable creatures, including the terrifying Pale Man, and its ability to mix harsh wartime reality with dreamlike fantasy. Acclaimed worldwide, it won 3 Academy Awards and is often considered Del Toro's masterpiece. Both brutal and beautiful, it's a dark fairy tale for adults that lingers long after viewing. Number 2. Castlevania, Netflix.
Everything has led us here.
Based on the iconic video game series, Castlevania is a gothic animated show that pushes dark fantasy to new levels. The story begins with Count Dracula unleashing hell on humanity after the church burns his wife at the stake. The only ones who can stand against him are Trevor Belmont, the last of a disgraced monster hunting family, the powerful mage Sypha, and Dracula's own half-human son, Alucard. Known for its brutal violence, intricate world building, and surprisingly deep storytelling, the series explores themes of grief, revenge, and morality, while never holding back on blood-soaked action. With stunning animation and a strong voice cast, Castlevania ran for 4 seasons on Netflix, concluding in 2021. It remains one of the best adult animated fantasy series ever made. Number 1. The Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance, Netflix.
Behold.
This series is a prequel to Jim Henson's cult classic, The Dark Crystal, from 1982. a hidden gem that still holds up as one of the most unique dark fantasy films ever made. Age of Resistance takes us back to the mystical world of Thra, where three young gelflings, Ryan, Deet, and Brea, uncover the terrible secret of the Skeksis and spark a rebellion that changes their world forever. Released in 2019, the 10-episode single season stunned audiences with its incredible puppetry, practical effects, and a powerhouse voice cast, including Taron Egerton, Anya Taylor-Joy, Mark Hamill, and Helena Bonham Carter. Though Netflix canceled it too soon, the craftsmanship and world building make this a dark fantasy masterpiece, and the perfect companion to the original film. And that's our list of 10 dark fantasy worlds you'll be obsessed with. From cursed knights and witch covens to twisted fairy tales and haunting rebellions, each of these stories proves just how powerful and addictive this genre can be. Some are cult classics, others are underrated gems, and a few might just surprise you if you give them a chance. Which of these dark worlds have you already explored, and which are you adding to your watch list? Let us know your picks in the comments below.
We could take the entire world for our own.
And if you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you won't miss our next deep dive into the worlds you love. Until then, stay curious, and we will see you on the couch.